I'm Naomi Marie Blackwood, now Naomi Canton. Since I married Nicholas in 1981, we lived in a small farmhouse in Sonoma, California, where we built Canton family orchards from a few old apple trees into a big organic fruit farm. My hands, sore from arthritis, still remember baking sourdough bread for my son Brandon on Sundays and braiding my daughter Melissa's hair for school. I was a mom who thought she raised good kids, but 3 weeks ago, everything changed. Nicholas got sick with cancer. It took 14 months to take him away. We didn't tell our kids at first. Brandon was busy with his fancy job in Boston, missing holidays. Melissa was in Denver, starting businesses that always failed and needed Dad's money. Let them live their lives, Nicholas said, his voice weak from medicine. I nodded, but I knew our kids too well. When they finally came to our farmhouse, they didn't bring hugs. They brought questions about money. The day after Nicholas's funeral, we sat at the kitchen table. The house smelled of casseroles from neighbors. Brandon sipped whiskey, looking serious. Mom, the medical bills must be high, he said. Have you thought about selling the orchard? It's hard for you to run it alone. His voice sounded like he was talking to a child. Brandon had left Sonoma at 18, saying our town was boring. He stayed in hotels when he visited, saying the farm air hurt his nose. Now he cared about the orchard he'd ignored. Melissa arrived later, with big suitcases and fake tears. She'd started 5 businesses with Dad's money, all flops, but she slept by his bed the night he died, so I hoped she cared. The funeral was small, on a hill by our orchard. Pink apple blossoms bloomed. I stood between Brandon and Melissa as they buried Nicholas. The pastor said he was at peace, but I wasn't sure. The house felt quiet after, empty without Nicholas's laugh. Neighbors left food and kind words, saying Nicholas was a good man who helped others, like saving Mr. Peterson's dairy farm. But my kids didn't talk about Dad. They wanted the house and orchard. That night, I made up their old bedrooms, thinking we'd share memories of Nicholas. Instead, Brandon said, "Mom, we need to settle things fast. Melissa and I have to go back." "Settle what?" I asked. "The estate," Melissa said, looking at her phone. "The house, the business." Brandon opened his laptop, like it was a business meeting, not our home. "Dad said last year you can't manage alone," he said. "The business needs new ideas. The house is too big for you." I stared. "I'm 68, not helpless," I said. "I ran this orchard with your dad for 40 years. Melissa smiled, like she was selling something. "A retirement home would be nice, Mom. Friends, activities." I shook my head. "This is my home." Brandon slid a paper across the table, not from our lawyer but his fancy office. It said the orchard and house were his, and Melissa's. Nicholas's signature looked strange, too neat for a man so sick he could barely hold a pen. "You made him sign this when he was on medicine," I said, my voice shaking with anger. Brandon didn't blink. He was clear. He wanted us to take over. Melissa added, "A developer wants the land for houses. They'll pay $7 million, Mom. We can all start new." I felt sick. Our orchard, our hard work, our promise to give fruit to food banks. They wanted to sell it for fancy homes. "Your dad would never agree," I said. Brandon shrugged. "The business is in Dad's name, so's the house. You don't have a say." I went to bed, my heart heavy, the farmhouse creaking around me. They'd planned this, maybe even before Nicholas got sick. The next morning, they were ready with coffee and a suitcase I didn't know. "We packed some things for you," Melissa said, too cheery. "We're driving you to Sunny Pines, a retirement home." I froze. "I'm not going anywhere," I said. Brandon sighed. "The paperwork's done, Mom. The sale's next week. You can't stay." I looked at my son, then Melissa, searching for the kids I raised. I saw strangers. "I need my medicine," putting my purse. In the bathroom, I grabbed my pills and my passport from a hidden spot Nicholas made. In our closet, behind his shirts that still smelled like him, I took a small box with a secret they didn't know. Downstairs, they rushed me out. We drove in Brandon's fancy car, past Sonoma's vineyards, past the school where I'd helped. But instead of the highway, he turned onto a quiet road and stopped by an empty field. "Get out, Mom," he said, his voice cold. "The house is mine now." Melissa looked confused. "Brandon, what?" he snapped. "She'll fight the will, make trouble. This is easier." He opened my door. "Go," Melissa whispered. "I'm sorry, Mom, I have debts." I stepped out, clutching my suitcase, As they drove away, Melissa's face fading in the window. I stood alone on a California road, but I wasn't broken. I had my purse, my secret, and a fire they didn't expect. I stood on that quiet California road, the gravel crunching under my shoes, my suitcase heavy in my hand. The spring air smelled of dirt and rain, but my heart was on fire. My kids Brandon and Melissa had driven away, leaving me like trash after I'd given them my whole life. They thought they'd won, selling our Sonoma orchard for fancy houses, but they didn't know about the deed in my purse, the one that could change everything. I wasn't just a mom they'd hurt. I was Naomi Canton, and I wasn't done yet. I walked 2 hours to town, my feet sore in my funeral flats, the California sun burning my neck. My farmhouse, with its red barn and apple trees, felt far away. I didn't cry. Pain made things clear, like a fog lifting. I reached Miller's Gas and Grocery, a small store at Sonoma's edge. I sat on a bench outside, watching cars pass, people living normal lives. They didn't know Naomi, who judged apple pies at the fair, was now alone. Ray Miller, the store owner, came out wiping his hands. "Mrs. Canton, you okay? You look tired." "Just resting, Ray," I said. "Long day." He nodded, sad about Nicholas. "Can I use your phone?" I asked. "Forgot mine." He led me inside, past chips and soda, to his office. I didn't call friends. I called Vincent Hargrove, our lawyer for 30 years. "Naomi," he said, surprised. "I tried calling you yesterday about the will reading." My heart sank. "What reading?" I asked. He paused. "Your son showed a will, but it looked wrong." I was worried. I gripped the phone, anger rising. "I've been busy," I said. "Vincent, I need help, and no one can know." "You got it," he said. "My office, 1 hour." I hung up, bought a cheap phone with cash I kept in my purse, a habit Nicholas taught me after a flat tire years ago. I got water and a sandwich I didn't eat. Ray wouldn't take my money. "It's free, Naomi," he said. "You need anything, just ask." His kindness almost made me cry, but I held it in. I hadn't cried when Nicholas was buried, and I wouldn't now. Vincent's office was above a shop on Sonoma's main street. His secretary, Helen, looked worried. "Mrs. Canton, you okay?" "I'm fine," I said, walking in. Vincent, old but sharp, sat next to me, not behind his desk. "Tell me everything," he said. I told him about the funeral, the fake will, Brandon and Melissa's plan to sell the orchard, and how they left me on the road. His face got dark. "The will they showed is fake," he said. "I wrote Nicholas's real will last year." I opened my purse and pulled out the fireproof box. Inside was a deed to 20 acres of our orchard, in my maiden name, Naomi Blackwood. Nicholas put it there before we married, in case the business failed. It was our best land, with water rights a developer would need. Vincent smiled. "Smart," he said. "You and Nicholas always planned ahead." I leaned forward. "I want my home back, Vincent. The orchard too. And I want my kids to know what they did." He nodded. "They won't like it." "Good," I said. He offered me a room at his sister's bed and breakfast, but I shook my head. "I need to move fast. The developer's closing next week." Vincent's eyes lit up. "Not just the courts then." "No," I said. "I have a plan." That night, at Rose Hill Bed and Breakfast, I made calls. First, to Harold Winters at California Trust Bank, where our orchard had accounts. "Naomi, I'm sorry about Nicholas," he said. "I need help, Harold," I said. "Someone's messing with our business." Next, to Martin Adams, who helped our orchard grow. "Martin, I need to know about developers buying farmland here." Then to Sophia Delaney, editor of the Sonoma Sun. "Sophia, I've got a story about developers and a fake will." By midnight, I'd made 7 calls, each one a step in my plan. Outside, Sonoma slept, but I was awake, ready to fight. The next morning, I met Vincent with a list of ideas. "Freeze the business accounts," I said, "and stop any sale with that fake will." He looked at my notes, surprised. "You know every detail of the orchard, don't you?" 40 years with Nicholas," I said. "Every contract, every tree." By noon, Vincent had stopped the sale with a legal paper. Harold froze the accounts. Martin told the farm board about special wetlands on my 20 acres, making it hard for developers to build. I sat in Vincent's office, waiting. At 1 p.m., my new phone rang. It was Brandon, mad. "Mom, what did you do?" he yelled. "You froze the accounts." I smiled, calm. "I've only started," I said. Melissa joined in, her voice high. "Where are you?" We were worried. I laughed softly. Worried I survived. Silence. You have one chance, I said. Give me back the house and orchard, and I'll pay you each $50,000. After that, we're done. You have 24 hours. I hung up, my heart steady. They thought they'd left me with nothing, but I had my deed, my plan, and a California town behind me. I wasn't just a mom, I was a fighter, and they'd learn that soon. I sat in Vincent's office, the California sun shining through the window, making the wooden desk glow. My new phone sat in front of me, silent after I'd told Brandon and Melissa they had 24 hours to give me back the house and orchard or face trouble. Vincent, my lawyer, sipped tea, his eyes sharp. They won't like this, he said. I know, I replied, my voice steady. I'm ready. I'd moved to a small apartment above Lucille's bakery, my friend since our kids were little. The smell of fresh bread floated up, and Lucille gave me a key. Stay as long as you need, she said. Your kids never treated you right. Her words hurt, but they were true. I wasn't just fighting for my home, I was fighting for the woman I'd been, who'd worked 40 years with Nicholas to build Canton family orchards. The orchard wasn't just trees, it was our life. Nicholas and I started with 20 acres of old apple trees in Sonoma, California. We worked hard, planting, pruning, selling organic fruit. We gave 10% of our apples to food banks, helped neighbors like Mr. Peterson save his farm, and hired local kids for summer jobs. I baked bread, kept the books, and drove the tractor when Nicholas was tired. When he got sick, I worked harder, hiding my fear so he could rest. But Brandon and Melissa didn't see that. They saw money, $7 million from a developer who wanted to turn our orchard into fancy houses. They used a fake will, signed when Nicholas was too sick to think, to take it all. They thought I had nothing, but I had a deed in my maiden name, Naomi Blackwood, for the best 20 acres, including water the developer needed. They forgot I wasn't just a mom, I was a partner, a fighter. My phone rang at 2 p.m., right on time. Brandon's voice was loud, angry. Mom, you're making a mistake. You can't freeze our accounts or stop the sale. Melissa jumped in, her voice high. This is our deal. You're ruining everything. I stayed calm. Your deal, not mine, I said. That will is fake. Vincent knows it. Vincent leaned in, speaking clearly. I wrote your dad's real will. Yours is a lie, and I can prove it. Silence. I spoke again. You had your chance. $50,000 each to walk away. Now sign back the house and orchard, or I go to the police. Brandon laughed. Mean. You have nothing, Mom. I smiled, though they couldn't see. 24 hours, I said, and hung up. I didn't wait. I called Robert Wilson, Nicholas's old friend, now a big lawyer in San Francisco. Naomi, I'm so sorry about Nicholas, he said. I told him everything. The fake will, the developer, the road. His voice got tight. These developers, Platinum Acres, are bad news. They trick older people. I'll be in Sonoma tomorrow. I thanked him, my heart strong. Then I called Thomas Winters, the assistant district attorney, and son of our bank manager. Thomas, it's Naomi. I want to talk about pressing charges. He agreed to meet that afternoon. By evening, I'd called more friends, neighbors, farmers, the Sonoma Sun newspaper. Everyone knew me and Nicholas, trusted us. They wanted to help. The next morning, I dressed in jeans and a sweater Lucille lent me. At 9 a.m., I filed papers at the deed office, proving I owned the 20 acres. That land had the house, the barn, and water rights. No developer could build without it. At 10, I met the farm board, showing them papers Nicholas and I signed years ago to protect our land from building. At noon, I gave Sophia at the Sonoma Sun proof of the fake will and the developer's plan. Her story would run the next day. Sonoma Orchard in danger from fake will. By 2 p.m., my phone rang again. Brandon sounded scared, not mad. Mom, the developer's angry. They'll sue us. Melissa cried. I used their money to pay debts. I'll lose everything. I stayed calm. You should have thought of that before leaving me on the road, I said. Sign the papers, or I tell the police about your fraud. Melissa sobbed. That was Brandon's idea. Brandon yelled at her to be quiet. I didn't care. You're out of time, I said. At 4 p.m., they came to Vincent's office, looking tired. Brandon's shirt was messy, Melissa's eyes red. Robert was there, a big lawyer in a fancy suit, with Vincent and me. Sit, I said. Robert pushed papers to them. Sign these, he said. Say the will was fake, and give up the orchard and house. Mrs. Canton won't press charges for fraud or leaving her on the road. Brandon's face went white. You'd send us to jail, he asked. I looked at him, my son, but saw a stranger. The mom who loved you died on that road, I said. You left her there, Melissa cried, signing the paper. Brandon's hand shook, but he signed too. What now? Melissa asked, her voice small. Leave Sonoma, I said. Today. If I see you again, I go to the police. They left, heads down, not looking back. I watched from Vincent's window, the California sunset warm. They thought they'd won, but I had my deed, my town, and my strength. I wasn't just a mom anymore. I was Naomi, and I was home. I stood outside my Sonoma farmhouse, the white walls glowing in the California sunset. The apple trees stretched across the hill, their leaves green and strong. Nicholas's rocking chair sat on the porch, waiting. My kids Brandon and Melissa had signed papers giving me back the house and Canton family orchards, scared of jail for their fake will. I'd won, but I wasn't done. I needed to face my son one last time. Robert, my lawyer friend, drove me home. Want me to come in? He asked. No, I said, clutching my purse with the deed inside. This is for me. I stepped out, the air smelling of apples and earth, ready to take back my home. Inside, the house was quiet, like it was holding its breath. Brandon's laptop sat on the dining table, a whiskey glass beside it, half empty. His muddy shoes were by the door, something he'd never do when he lived here. I called Brandon. My voice echoed in the rooms where we'd celebrated birthdays and laughed over dinner. No answer. I climbed the stairs, my hand on the banister Nicholas carved when we moved in. Our bedroom door was open, light spilling out. I pushed it open. Brandon stood by the window, looking at the orchard, his back to me. The room was a mess. Drawers open, Nicholas's shirts on the bed, photos scattered. He'd been searching, looking for something, I asked, my voice cold. He didn't turn, but his shoulders stiffened. I know there's more, he said. Dad wouldn't leave everything to you. I stepped closer. Your dad trusted me. You never did. He turned, his face angry, desperate. You've ruined everything, Mom. The developer's deal is gone. Melissa's creditors are after her. My job's in trouble, all because of you. I didn't flinch. You made your choices, I said. You used a fake will. You left me on a road. Actions have consequences. He laughed, a mean sound. Is this a lesson? Always the teacher, even now. Not a lesson, I said. Justice. I walked to the bookshelf, pulling out Nicholas's favorite book, The Rose Walden. Inside was an envelope, sealed, with Brandon's name in his dad's handwriting. Your father wrote this for you before he died, I said. I was going to give it to you after the funeral, before I knew who you were. He reached for it, but I held it back. Did you even cry for him? I asked. Or were you too busy planning to sell his orchard? His face changed. Maybe shame, maybe just mad. I loved Dad, he said. You loved what he gave you, I said. Money, safety, a way out of your mistakes. What was it this time? Bad investments? Gambling? He didn't answer, his silence loud. Your dad built this orchard for years to come, I said. You wanted to sell it for quick cash, for houses that ruin what he loved. I put the envelope on the dresser. Take it and go. This is the last time you're in this house. Brandon grabbed the envelope, pushing past me. His footsteps were heavy on the stairs. The front door slammed. His car roared away. I sat on the bed, surrounded by Nicholas's things, his flannel shirts, still smelling like him, photos of us planting trees. I didn't cry. I'd stopped crying when they left me on that road. Instead, I folded his shirts, put the photos back, fixed the mess Brandon left. The California sky turned dark outside, stars peeking through. I made tea and sat in Nicholas's rocking chair on the porch, the orchard quiet below. My phone rang, Vincent checking in. I'm home, I said. Brandon's gone. You okay alone? He asked. I've been alone since Nicholas died, I said. Now I'm free. The next morning I walked the orchard, touching the trees we'd planted. The apples were growing, ready for a big harvest. She was smart, loved the land like Nicholas did. The town stood with me, neighbors, friends, people who knew what we'd built. Lucille texted me a newspaper article, Platinum Acres CEO in trouble for fraud. Our orchard story had started a big investigation, catching the developer who tricked older people. I set my phone down, feeling calm. not happy but right. Justice, not revenge, though they felt close. I thought of Brandon and Melissa. Melissa texted sometimes, begging to talk, her life falling apart without the orchard money. Brandon stayed quiet, his job gone after the fraud news. I didn't answer, they'd burned their bridge on that road. I wasn't their mom anymore. I was Naomi, free to live for me. The orchard was mine, the house was mine, and so was my strength. I looked at the trees, their branches heavy with fruit, and whispered, "We did it, Nicholas." They tried to take our home, but I took it back, and no one could push me out again. I'm back in my Sonoma farmhouse, the white walls warm under the California sun. The orchard's apple trees are heavy with fruit, their leaves green and full. At 68, I wake each morning to coffee on the porch, Nicholas's rocking chair creaking under me. The air smells of apples and earth, a quiet song of peace. I sleep soundly now, no dreams of that road where my kids left me, no echoes of Brandon's mean words or Melissa's fake tears. I'm not alone anymore, I'm free, living in a home I fought for, with a heart stronger than ever. I didn't bring much back to the farmhouse, just what mattered, a photo of Nicholas planting trees, his smile bright, a quilt my grandma made, and a fireproof box with my deed to 20 acres, the heart of Canton family orchards. On a small table by the window, I keep my old recorder, the kind for grocery lists. It holds one file, Brandon's voice, cold, saying they didn't need me. I don't play it to hurt, it reminds me who I was and who I am now. I'm not the mom left on a road with a suitcase. I'm Naomi, who took back her home and her life. I started recording my story for Stories to Listen, a place where people share true tales. Sitting by my window, the California sunset red and gold, I spoke. I gave my kids everything, my love, my work, my home. They used a fake will to take our orchard and left me on a road, but I had a secret deed and fought back. If someone's made you feel small, you're not alone, your voice is strong. I didn't think anyone would listen, but they did. Messages came from people all over, moms, grandmas, folks who felt pushed away. "You said what I feel," one wrote. "I thought I was the only one," said another. My words built a bridge to others, a place where we could share our hurt and strength. I kept recording, telling about the days Nicholas and I planted trees, the nights I baked bread for Brandon, the moment I stood up to my kids. Each story was like planting a new tree, growing roots in my heart. My days are full now. I work in the orchard with Lisa, our new manager, who loves the land like Nicholas did. We pick apples, plan a big harvest, and give fruit to food banks, just like before. I help at the Sonoma Community Center, teaching kids to quilt on Wednesdays. I laugh with friends like Lucille, whose bakery smells of warm bread. I play old songs on a piano I bought cheap, my fingers slow but happy. I write letters to neighbors, thanking them for standing by me. One night, my phone buzzed. It was Melissa, texting, "Mom, can we talk? I'm sorry, I deleted it, like the others she sent." Brandon never called, his life falling apart after his job found out about the fake will. I don't hate them, but I can't trust them. They burned that bridge on the road. I forgave them for me, to let go of the pain, but I don't need them anymore. The orchard is my home, my heart. I walk the rows touching trees Nicholas and I planted 40 years ago. The harvest will be our best, Lisa says. I'm planning new things, a little restaurant in the barn, classes for kids to learn about farming, more organic fruit. Nicholas would love it. We dreamed of this before he got sick. I whisper to him at night, "We're doing it, Nicholas." The town cheers me on. Lucille sent me a newspaper. Platinum Acres boss faces jail for tricking older people. Our story started it, showing how the developer hurt folks like me. I feel calm, not proud. It's justice, not revenge. If you've ever been pushed out, called a burden, or told you're not enough, listen, you're strong, your story matters. I'm 68, living in my California farmhouse, growing apples, telling my truth. I lost my kids, but I found myself. Join Stories to Listen, share your tale, and let's keep speaking. Where are you watching from? Leave a comment, and let's grow together one story at a time.